Everyone, do you have everyone's name down, Bob? Okay. I think you know everybody here. So I'd like to start off by, this is a reminder that I have to remind everybody it's an open meeting. So, just so that you don't forget. But having said that, then, I would like to start off by thanking the people, the friends, some of them are in the Friends, some are not, but the people that put together that primetime paddlers float for the Council on Aging.
Nice job.
It was a wonderful job, and I have names, Jane and Dick Lyons, Leslie and Bruce Russell, Steve Sussman, Peg McLaughlin, Gordon Witten, Nancy Levine, Valdianne Alusic, is that how you pronounce her last name? Alusic. Paul Tomakian and Pam Campbell. And then there were the people that were riding the parade. I won't go through all of that, but I just wish to thank everyone. I think we owe them a big round of applause for all the work that they did. And Nancy, you would like to be recognized, I think, in this regard.
Yes, first of all, this would not have happened if it wasn't for Pam. And I have
It wasn't for you.
One of the, excuse me for getting up, but one of the members of the Primetime Paddlers also works in the office with Pam. She said to Pam, this is for you, Pam, and this is for the board.
Thank you.
Why can't the paddlers have their own float?
Oh.
And Pam said, why not?
Oh, wonderful.
And it went from there. I mean, she made the suggestions for her flatbed trailer. She had us all meet at her house. She asked us to bring whatever we needed, duct tape, scissors, scotch tape, staplers, screwdrivers. And we had an idea that she came up with making it look like water. So I would like to thank Pam for making this happen, because if it wasn't for you, it wouldn't have happened.
Here we go. Yeah, great effort. It really was.
I felt really good that we were represented in the parade, and it was very kind of John Brodsky to let us be the first float.
Oh, absolutely.
I could tell by the comments of people along the way that they were just really pleased and surprised to see us.
I had a neighbor loan me that teddy bear, and the kids just loved seeing the bear. So it was just great. There are two pictures of the truck. One of the is important. It's with me. You can see me, and the other picture is of Pam, but the other one is
Well, again, thank you all, and I hope you will convey our thanks to all the people that participated that are paddlers. I'm assuming many of them aren't the paddlers themselves, all of them. So,
except for Paul.
yeah, it was really, really great. Very exciting. I got very excited when I saw that one come down. As I was at First Baptist Church doing other things at that end of the spectrum. So it was great. Okay. So, if we can move on, can we approve the minutes from the August 11th, 2014 meeting? Were there, yes, Chris?
I have just one comment. It's a small point, but in regard to item 4, we had also discussed needing a
These are the
coordinated
same.
communication effort and campaign. And I think it's important just to continue to reflect that need with respect to the deferral program.
Sorry,
We talked about it needing to have just an awareness campaign, some sort of communication and awareness. And though it's a small point relative to the minutes, it's just important to always reflect that as we talk about that program. Awareness will be key. And as a matter of fact, Barbara's been kind enough to invite us onto her program in this regard to continue to raise awareness on this and related matters. It's something to talk about, but always finding a way to get the messaging out.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, I can add that.
great.
Can add that and then resend the minutes, and then do we approve them at the next meeting then, again, or we can approve them now with that
I'm
addition?
just gonna add a D that says that now say it to me again and I'll copy it down.
We discussed the importance of communicating to the community the details of this program.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I just want to keep it in the forefront. Without the communication side of it,
So
We'll
important
struggle to
about
get
it
lifted
with
the program.
everything that we do, I think.
Okay, so I put an item D on 4, which said we discuss the importance of communicating to the community. So
Thank
we
you.
can approve it, if we can approve it as amended.
Okay,
And when Bob sends those to me, I'll resend them to everyone, and you'll have the latest version.
all right. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I move to approve.
Thank you. Jean seconding? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No abstentions. No nays. Okay. We're moving on to old business, and the first item of old business is the update on the kitchen project.
And the update on the kitchen project is, we're still waiting for the drawings to come in. That should be within the next 2 weeks. And at that point, they will be sent out as part of a bid package to find a contractor to do the actual work.
Okay. That was quick, fast and simple.
Not much to say there.
That's about it. I don't know. It's like other things, it just takes time. So, thank you. All right, and any questions on that?
Bids are being prepared, right?
No, not
No.
yet.
Drawings, we're waiting for the drawings.
Drawings are being prepared.
Yeah. Any questions about that?
We don't, I think at the last meeting you mentioned possibly they'll start December, I mean, with the Unitarian Church and other, I sure hope they move along because there's not many options where we can go from there. You know?
Any suggestions you have on options,
Yeah.
let me know. I'd be happy to entertain them.
The Congregational Church made the-
Congregational is
They
what I
made, they made
meant.
the determination that they were going to not have the community dinners on Tuesday nights until the project was over because they couldn't find any place that was.
Right, I meant congregational.
It's a problem, I think, in this town.
The biggest thing is finding a place big enough to handle with a kitchen.
And we don't know that ours will start December 1st either.
Really. Not holding my breath.
And I think if anyone in the public sector has any thoughts or ideas, we welcome hearing about them too. So, it is a problem, not just for the seniors in Littleton, but for other groups too that are providing benefits and dinners and things for, like the neighborhood supper.
Their
How
com-
about
their com-
that-
Excuse me, their anticipation date is November 1st.
November the 1st?
Is that what somebody said?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, so you don't know that date yet.
I don't anticipate before January 1st, frankly.
I was just thinking the room that's vacant across on the first floor from the Park and Rec, at least the meal deliveries could be left there and picked up and taken. That part of it that comes in without the kitchen facilities in use. You know, I don't know. Has anybody thought of that? It's a vacant room.
That's a good point.
It's definitely been thought of. It's
Huh?
been thought of.
Yeah.
It has been thought of.
Oh, okay.
Any further discussion? Okay. Then we'll move on to an update on my meeting with Keith Bergman regarding the $4,500 bill that we received from
Crosstown.
Crosstown. Thank you, I couldn't find the words. Thank you. And the update and the situation is that Bonnie is working on transferring 1,500, we paid 3,000, we were billed $1,500 over our anticipated budgeted amount of $3,000. And that's because they billed us for the full year. And I was told, Bob and I were told by Keith that it would be taken care of. And it will be taken care of, and Bonnie is currently working on that, to transfer, because Pam paid the bill in full, we need to have that $1,500 transferred back into the van fund, if I'm not mistaken. and Bonnie is working on doing that, and it should be done by the end of this month. So that should be a closed item, I think. Any questions on that? Okay. Now, we have, next item, if there's no discussion, no further discussion on that, we can move on to the update on the senior tax deferral program recommendations. And I think Pam can speak to that.
Well, you all know Chris did all that work to pull together information from other towns, and I think that really kind of made people think much more about this. And by people, I mean people like Bonnie and Keith and the assessors and what have you. It will come before the selectmen at their meeting tonight to ask for the warrant item that we voted at the last meeting. And right now, everybody seems very much in support of that, with no issues at all. Of course, it helps that the deferral program is self-funding. The money is not lost. It comes to the town with interest when the property changes hands. And we kind of went over that in detail at the last meeting, so I don't think we need to belabor that. But as a result of that, then Bonnie Holston, the assistant town manager and the head of finance, actually suggested that we look at bumping up the amounts that are available under all of the personal exemptions that are available to seniors, to the blind, and to disabled veterans. And I was very grateful, actually, to her for suggesting that, because that one's not self-funding. That would come out of the overlay. I've been talking to the assessors about that, and in your packet, you'll see a sheet, a very spare spreadsheet. And this shows you the amounts of money that we're talking about. For example, if you are blind and you meet the income guidelines, which are quite stringent for this statute, you can receive $500 additional off of your property tax. Now, we bump that. Actually, I think let me look at this. Right, we pay $500 now. We can increase that through state statute by just asking at town meeting and getting a vote on it, just like you do for the tax work-off program every year. And so we could take that $500 and we could increase it by 20% or 30%, 40%, or what Bonnie has suggested is that we increase it by 50%, which is what Walpole, for example, does. And so that would mean that a blind person, instead of receiving just $500 off of their taxes, would get $750 off of their property tax. Now, they're always interested in how many people we're talking about when we're doing anything like that, and in the town of Littleton, there are 3 who qualify for that. So we're talking about a very small amount of money. And the spreadsheet actually shows you, based on the people who qualify, how much money we're talking about. The exemptions that are available is, first of all, there's a straight exemption, 41C, for those who are elderly and meet the income requirements. Again, the income requirements are quite stringent. There's a surviving spouse, same thing, stringent income requirements. I mentioned the blind one. There's one for veterans. Disabled veterans with at least 10% disability. If we increased to 50% the exemption, by 50% more the exemption for each of these categories, it would cost the town $9,000 to do it for everyone who qualifies. Again, there's only 3 blind people who qualify. There are 13 elderly people who qualify, 38 that qualify under the Veterans Program, which, again, depending on the amount of disability, is as low as $400 for some people. So we're not talking huge amounts of money. The $9,000, as I said, would come out of the overlay, which means that it would be spread out over all the tax bills in town. And Kathy Miller, the chief assessor, sat down with me, and we determined that it would probably mean that people's tax bills would go up by maybe $2.50. So I think Bonnie's reasonable in suggesting that this is a proposal to put forward, to ask the selectmen to change it from 20% to 50% and bring a little bit more tax relief, again, to people who really are hard hit. Because if you look at the income guidelines for the elderly, for example, you have to be 65 years of age, obviously. But your annual gross income, 20,000 if single, and 30,000 if married. And you also have to meet an asset test. And the assets, not including the home, 40,000 if single, 55,000 if married. And that's savings account, checking accounts, 401ks, et cetera. That also is going to be presented at the Board of Selectmen meeting tonight. Anyone who wants to come to support that, please, feel free.
And now this, and that, go ahead, Chris.
No, no, please.
No, that's okay. Go.
Just for clarification, so are we currently in Littleton at the state guideline level?
No, we're at the 20%. We've been routinely doing it at 20%.
Okay. So we're at 36,300 based on this number of participants.
Yeah. Yeah, we are already increasing at 6,000 from the guidelines. They're looking to put it at 15,000 above the guidelines.
I think, how does the board feel about that? We voted to, and the warrant was, the wording for the warrant was provided already, correct?
That's for the deferral program.
the deferral
to ask
program.
the deferral program to
And
be
then
bumped up.
the exemptions are another piece of the whole kind of package type of thing.
Well, there
So-
already is a warrant item that is passed every year to bump it to 20. So it's just changing the number of 20 to 50 in that warrant item. Again, who's going to advocate for elderly, blind, disabled veterans, if not us? No one else is going to come before the
right.
board and ask them for that.
There are a couple things, though, for the selectmen this evening to contemplate. So we have the deferral program, which, to your point, given it's a win-win, all stakeholders benefit, it's relatively easy, especially with the data at hand. We have the assessment and the funds for it, which is coming up on the agenda later today,
Right.
and these very important items. So there's a lot. I guess the concern would be, are there too many things coming at the same time and potentially at cross purpose? But you all have more experience with, you know, what's too much or all at once, or.
It seems to me this might be a good time, though, in view of the fact I think that the selectmen have put the Council on Aging on their radar screen,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
to
that's
speak.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, right now. They're very much, interested in what's going on. I think, Pam, maybe you could speak a little bit more about that. You're more knowledgeable, and you've dealt with people more directly than I have. But I kind of feel that maybe this is the time to hit, time to move, so to speak, so.
And they may decide to defer some of it, but the key is that right now, they've said this is gonna be one of their major agendas for the year. So now they want us to tell them what the needs are, so
Yeah.
this is the time probably to approach that.
And you're right, there was certainly a lot of conversation there has, continuously, but certainly this spring, there was a lot of conversation about this, it's in the goals. While there are a number of items, it's certainly not all that complicated, really. I mean, it's a nominal amount of money to help benefit those citizens most in need
That's right.
right now. And so it certainly makes sense. So, great, well, thanks. Yeah.
I
my
think
concerns.
the issue right now is, we have the two items on your agenda, the senior tax deferral recommendation update, which Pam gave us. And then you have the exemptions, and we do need to vote.
It would be nice to have a vote from the board that
Yes.
supports the recommendation of changing it from 20% to 50%
If the board
increase.
so feels that way. I think that would be an important statement to show that the board does support it. So,
And the very
If we
fact
do.
that Bonnie suggested it means that she knows that there's money available to do it. She doesn't suggest things that can't be funded.
And that's a big thing, if she says that to them, that's gonna help an awful lot too.
Do we have additional discussion about this?
Madam Chair,
Questions? Yes, Mr. Gibson.
just an observation. Is anyone here from the Board of Selectmen?
No.
I'm just going to offer, it might strengthen your case. If I was a member of the Board of Selectmen, and I've looked at all of Ella's questions, if I were a member of the Board of Selectmen of FinCom, I would focus on justification, meaning in terms of data and how the remedy speaks to the justification. And I'm a member of the Board of Selectmen, so at the moment, so I'm thinking about two things. Has the Council on Aging demonstrated tax rate trends over time, say for the last 10, 20, 30, or 40 years? That is something I would be looking for as a member of the board. Secondly, does your presentation include the projected tax rate, say for the next 5 or 10 years, to demonstrate that seniors are really in a bind and it's not getting any better under the current trends?
Okay.
Roland, I assume that what you're saying is that you're talking about the total cost to seniors of their taxes is what we're trying to demonstrate here, so that they see that it's gonna get tougher and tougher for the seniors. Therefore, these exemptions could help them a little bit too.
I'm trying to help you strengthen your
Okay.
case.
Okay.
And I'll be surprised if some of the Board of Selectmen don't ask those questions. You know, if you're proactive and you can anticipate those questions and have the data ready, it'll increase the likelihood that they will move forward, as opposed to say, well, we need more data, come back another time.
Well, I think since it's on the agenda though tonight, is it on the agenda tonight for their meeting? I don't know that we can get prepared between now and then. We can take a look and see.
Putting it out there, that's all.
No, you
Can I
raised some good
speak?
points.
Can I
Yes,
speak
you
to
may
this?
speak.
The first point that I would speak to is that the Board of Selectmen have specifically asked us to come to them with a proposal for tax relief for seniors.
Okay.
They have made the determination that seniors need property tax relief in town. So they have not asked us to prove that case, they have asked us to come to them with solutions. And if you read
Good idea.
their goals, the goal for us, the first section of the goal was to focus on improving programming, and the second section was to come to them with recommendations
Okay.
for tax relief. So from that piece, I think they've made that case already for us.
Thank you for that clarification.
The second point I would make is you have alluded to Paul Avella's questions. He had some questions specifically about the tax deferral program. And there is a document that was prepared and forwarded to him from our office and the tax assessor, the chief tax assessor's office jointly, that speaks to all of his questions. And he did not come back and say that he had further questions, so I'm hoping that those answers were sufficient to put aside any qualms that he had.
Thank you.
Mr. Christie.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's very encouraging that the selectmen are discussing and asking you these questions about senior tax condition relief, short-term, long-term. It's very good. The question next is, I'm wondering, are they going to be, this is not a one-shot deal for them, I hope. I hope they look upon this as a long-term, ongoing issue. The points that Mr. Gibson has well made. Yeah, those issues you can't bring them to the selectmen's meeting tonight. I don't think they'd want to hear them. But just from my example, having lived in town for 50 years, in my modest 1,500 square foot house, when I came to Littleton, I was paying $8 a week taxes the first year. $8 a week. After 10 years, they went to $19 a week. That's more than double. But I was a young guy. I got raises. I sent the wife out to work. I get another job. Who knows? So the taxes went up, and I paid them. And I ignored everything else, okay? And suddenly I find myself on a fixed income. And, I mean, I'm chewing up my savings like mad to live here. Now, going along with the numbers that I've told you, I've discovered that at the present historical rate, my taxes on my house in 2025 will be $250 a week. That's not a year. That's a week. That's projecting it from what it is today and looking at the historical time. Now, also I can explain, I can prove that the taxes are increasing at double the inflation rate. They always have. Taxes are going up at twice the rate of inflation. That means what is a dollar worth? So I think people on fixed income, and I think, you know, it doesn't matter who they are. They're seniors, they're veterans, they're blind people, they're various people that are, you know, on fixed incomes for who knows whatever reason. They need protection against this thing, you know. I mean, this is a real serious problem. So I guess, to be brief, the question is there some way to ask the selectmen, suggest, I don't know how we do this, but this should be an ongoing study for the selectmen. They may make a decision tonight, but I hope it will continue. They'll have more
Well, I
questions.
think that's something that maybe perhaps we could address as a board too, and how, get through tonight and then continue to look at it and maybe put it on, you know, a review program process to bring up and rediscuss as time goes on.
Didn't
But
we
thank
su-
you, it's good, that's good information.
Didn't we suggest this in our vote that it be done on a yearly basis? I can't remember exactly. I thought we did. That it be reviewed on a yearly basis.
So,
Oh, to which program are you referring to? The
The one
deferral or
on this particular program,
on the exemptions?
on the exemptions or the deferral?
on the deferral.
On the deferral, I thought the view was to find, the particular thing that has to get revisited would be the income limit and the interest rate. But we had decided to ask the selectmen to find a rate in terms of interest that would be sustainable, that could remain unchanged. And in that, we don't really have to review it annually, and I don't recall that we decided to, though it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be a problem, but. And it seems like in other towns, it doesn't seem to be a set pattern where it's coming up annually, occurring every year.
And I think what Mr. Christie's point is too, is the whole issue about, you know, the taxes are always going up. And it is something that needs to be watched and monitored and looked at, because it becomes insidious, especially for people on fixed incomes. I don't know that it's something that we can, you know, deal with tonight, certainly at the meeting, this Board of Selectmen meeting, but it's a very good point.
I would suggest that this is a topic that is probably going to come up under the needs assessment.
It perhaps might.
I would like to see questions about seniors' concerns about their property taxes in the future, and I think we'll get some good information out of the needs assessment if we can get it funded. That will give us exactly the kind of quantitative information.
It's a fundamental question for the town and the structure of the revenue base, given it was something like we saw in the assessment documents.
22,000, remember you mentioned last meeting, we were trying to raise the income.
The income level, but when you look at the population, though, I mean, the 2010 census had us around 1,746 residents 60 years of age or older. And UMass's data has us by 2030 twice that,
Twice.
almost 3,400. And
Scary. That was kind of a scary
And so,
piece
so
of-
the revenue base is fundamentally not stable now.
Right.
If you look at that and you look at the pressure that Mr. Crystal's talking about, which is alarming, if
Yes.
those are the numbers.
So it is an issue that needs to be continuously looked at, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest take-home message here, so.
I
Yes,
think you can be encouraged that the selectmen are going to be helpful, because 2 years ago in 12, Alex McCurdy came before the board at a meeting talking about a tax plan for the elderly. So I think you're going to get some help from them.
I think we're dealing on our agenda with 3 issues here, essentially, that all kind of go together in a way. You know, they're all part of involving money and needs, and so, and I want us to keep them separate if we can, so that we don't get confused here. So the needs assessment is on the agenda. We will be getting into that in a few minutes.
I
So-
think he was talking about putting aside a certain fund to be used just for that. But that's 2 years ago, and a lot of things have changed.
Right. So, if we can stick to, we're on raising the personal exemptions, and that's the topic that we're focusing on right now, looking at whether the board wishes to vote to support the recommended increases in the exemptions on,
Anticipating the questions we may get with respect to the exemptions, though, does make perfect sense.
oh,
If you
absolutely.
think about the good questions that Selectman Avella asked us, some of those are answered, Pam, in the table that's been created for us. You know, he asked how many residents would be able to participate in the program, what's the net impact from a revenue standpoint. And so we have the number, so let's anticipate he may ask that again, how many people, we have those numbers, the net impact is 9,000. The value in terms of sustaining these residences and households and real value to impact lives, I mean, 9,000 is not a lot of money. So perhaps we have the answers to the questions we'll get. Does this impact FY15? Is this intended, because he also asked a question, we've got a budget which we're in the process of executing with respect to the deferral program, so will we get that same question on the exemptions? Is this an FY15 program, so this current fiscal year, or are we
I think
talking about future?
FY15 has sailed,
Yes.
so I think these are FY16.
Okay,
And the questions that he originally asked anyway, he could come up
Yeah.
with more, but anybody can come up with more questions tonight. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't, we can,
okay.
but the questions he originally came up with, Pamela and, was it Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kathy Miller.
Yeah. The assessors responded.
Kathy Miller.
Kathy Miller, thank you. And they did respond to that, so,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just thinking, it does make sense to,
right.
In fact,
They'll
next
have
month, we'll be
questions.
meeting to do the FY16 budget.
okay, so it's,
Yeah, it'll definitely be
16.
16.
okay.
Mr. Coughlin, I'm sorry, you,
Tom Coughlin. Excuse me. Speaking of Roland's suggestion, it seems to me you need a lot of data to support the article. And I'm wondering if Bonnie can help us out in that regard. Can we go to Bonnie and get that data?
if we can get it from her, I'm not that familiar personally with it, but I think Bonnie's been involved and is supporting it, so, from what I understand, am I mistaken in that? No. So I think that that's a good thing, that she's been involved in this whole thing all along too, so.
Because she would readily have it at her fingertips, I would think.
Right, if we need it, I think.
Right.
Yeah. And I agree. The more data we have, always to support something is critical.
What I'm hearing, and this may, Pam has presented the case that the Board of Selectmen have requested this, perhaps they need to hear, or perhaps the Council on Aging needs to hear, should it make the warrant and it gets before town meeting, these questions will come up at town meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's a very good point, thank you. All points very well taken and very important, I think. All right, are we ready to vote on raising the personal exemptions to the 50%? Or would someone like to make a motion regarding the exemption increases?
You're going too fast for me. but-
We're going too fast? Well, you can
I
catch
didn't-
up
I
while
didn't re-
everybody's thinking about the motion they're gonna make.
Right.
Does the board not wish to vote?
We should vote.
Thank you.
I'll move that we vote to raise the personal exemptions by the 50% factor.
I second it.
Thank you. Moved by Barry. Are you caught up yet?
Yeah, I haven't, but I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Who seconded?
Mary, do you want him to repeat it? No, okay. All right. Could you read, when you're done, read the motion back for us, please?
Once I get it written.
Yep.
It was moved by Barry Cursor, seconded by Mary Catalano, that
Used
we
to have that in my
recommend,
office.
that we recommend to the selectmen the increase of all possible exemption by 50%.
Personal exemption.
Personal
Personal.
exemptions, sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? None. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Now, we get into the third piece of things, which comes, but I have a question too. Just this is, I guess, a little off a little bit, but we do have something that is a warrant article. And I'm just wondering, I was thinking about this and how we could, the warrant comes when, the end of the month? When does that get, I'm not good on the timing of these things yet.
That mailing,
Yes, when does it go out, and when, if we were to, as a board, contemplate how we could get the word out that we are supporting this a little, what would be, the time frame for that, and perhaps the board members might have ways and ideas about how we could do that. I think it's important to get the message out that we are supporting something like that.
Would the newsletter fit in with the timing?
To go on the warrant, you mean? There's usually a cutoff date that they
No,
advertise.
it's going to be on the, isn't it, is it
right, the
not?
cutoff for the warrant is the 22nd of September.
Okay,
Okay.
The town meeting is November, it's an odd date, it's on a Wednesday. Does anyone have a November calendar? Because there's an election, so that's why it's on Wednesday
It's
instead of
so
a
early
Monday.
in the month.
5, 12, 19, or 26?
Of November? Wednesday's the 9th?
No.
Did you say the
5, 12, 19, or 26?
I believe it's on the 5th, but it's on a Wednesday night, early in November.
okay.
We're working on the October, your question, Louise, we're working on the October newsletter right now. We could potentially put something in the newsletter. Some of the suggestions I would have is that we put something in the Independent.
Yep, also. Listen,
You were next, I was gonna suggest your program. And then there's also the mailing that everyone gets that speaks to each warrant item, the pro and con.
oh,
So obviously, there'll be a point there at which we can make a statement and get the Board of Assessors to help us to put together a statement about what this means, and
Do board
More
members have other
publicity for them.
ideas? I mean, I think that's important that we get that word out.
definitely.
we also have our email mailing, our weekly email mailing. It can go out on that.
Yep.
Yes, go, one of,
Either one.
either
We were
one of
gonna
the,
say the
we
same
have
thing.
two
We're gonna
friends,
say the same thing.
one of you decide who wants to speak, you're both welcome.
We're whispering over here.
Yes.
We went past the independent, sorry, but anyway.
Lowell Sun.
We were thinking that if you wrote something up, maybe a little blurb of sorts, you could ask the light department to put it in with the mail.
That's a good idea.
Excellent idea. The more information we can get out
More
there.
people get that.
Yeah.
And read it properly.
That's a very good point, thank you. Yes, Nancy?
Leave flyers out for the exercise classes, just on the table, the diner.
Yep.
any functions that the Friends have, we can just have a flyer, and people can just pick it up and read it.
Yeah, as long as it's
I could
before
have,
the
I
date
could
that
have
you.
that at the blood pressure clinic
You
too.
can have it at the clerk, yes.
Ah, it's wonderful ideas. Now we just need somebody to help us get
I
it
don't know
done.
about flyers, about taxes at the blood pressure.
Public information.
Good point.
Give it to them on the way out.
See how high that thing is.
Trust me.
What exactly are we publishing?
Be pumping out that blood.
Our support, I'm just thinking that if we, we want to get out the fact that the Council on Aging supports this,
Okay, because the
Both-
selectmen aren't gonna make a decision, they're gonna put it on the ballot. so
right,
we-
and where
okay,
you just want to
gotcha.
get the word out, that
Yeah.
we are supporting
Okay, I got it
the
now.
personal exemptions as well as the tax deferral recommendations. Tax deferral thing is the one that is already moved forward for the warrant anyway, right? The wording is already out and it's being presented tonight, correct? So I think that's wonderful, and we have, this is early September, so we have time to be able to get some of this done, I think.
How soon do you need it out?
Well, that's what I'm just starting to think about.
Because, they're gonna be out tomorrow voting, so if you had something that you already knew, that, just something small, maybe you could get them out there on a table tomorrow.
I don't know if we,
I mean, I know that's soon,
Yeah.
but it's a way to start.
Well, we'll certainly do it at the election that's going to be the day before town meeting.
that's September, town meeting is November 4th?
It'd be
November 5th and the
Yeah, we
election's
think
the
it's,
4th.
yeah.
letters to the
I
editor.
think that's pretty good, huh?
Well, that's what I was thinking, I could write a letter, as the chair, I could perhaps write a letter to the editor of the Independent or something like that, and run it by, I certainly would do it in collaboration with, and have everybody proofread it, or several people proofread it, so. But,
Good.
that's just a thought, and I kind of, before we left that, I wanted to bring that up, because I think it's important, that's all. So, yes?
I don't know if it's possible, but it's just a suggestion. I'm wondering if we can put it in the church bulletins around town, that, the program that you're endorsing. And I'm wondering, historically, the voter turnout's been very low. I think they're predicting 20% tomorrow. And if some way we can enlighten it's kind of a special interest group, the seniors, if you will, but if we can enlighten them that this is a very important vote. And I'm not sure how to do that, but, if we can relay that message, I think that would be helpful as well.
Thank you, that's a good idea, and I'd like to process that one and think about it myself. Yeah, there must be a way to do that.
If the senior citizens club's having a meeting, it would be good to
Mhm.
make it aware there. They meet in the diner.
We need a little campaign committee or something here. Because, well, we'd have a little bit of time in October prior to the meeting, then if we could start on it and,
Well, first we have to get it on the selectmen's warrant.
right, so we can't do anything until we know what happens tonight, but well, let's take it from there. All right, we have good ideas, thank you.
You have somebody.
I know. Mr. Christie?
Hi, I was thinking that there's gonna be, probably a hearing on this. The selectmen, I think typically will put an item in the warrant and then maybe public hearings on the entire warrant. There'll be other items coming up in November. So maybe there'll be a calendar for that. I mean, there may be a meeting coming up in the next few weeks that we should be aware of, because at that hearing, that might be a meeting to
Okay.
go to. And the way to find out might be to ask Keith. I think Keith, he's interested in what you're doing here, and
Well, he will, I'm sure. He tracks what we're doing very, he
Yeah,
works,
so-
Pam works closely with Keith, so I think she could probably find out,
what are the dates?
his
the dates
recommendations
for
too,
the
as to
hearing on the
what he
warrant.
would like to see us do. I think that's a good point.
Oh, and I was
Okay.
just thinking,
Yes.
and I know it's going to be done, but our local TV is another
Mhm.
place to inform people.
That's
Well, Barbara will do that.
Oh, okay.
Barbara.
Oh, yeah,
Plan.
Probably a lot more people paying attention to it than the Independent as well.
That's probably true. I think I'm hearing you, and I get a lot of feedback. I hear a lot of comments about people that have watched the meetings on TV, so. All right, well, thank you very much. You've all come up with great ideas. Now we just have to process them and decide what we can do and when we can do it and the timing of everything. So, thank you again.
The first thing should be, we should just get some content put together, just for general repurposing. So if we just can collaborate, Pam, through you over the next couple of days, get a couple solid paragraphs put together between us, then it can find its way through Facebook and to the flyers and the voting station. So we just need to get that language.
What you
So
wrote
I'm
about
happy
the
to-
tax deferral program, I
Yeah.
think, is a very good start right there.
Yeah.
So if we can just add a little bit in about the exemptions, and
Yep.
that might be very helpful. If
That
you'd be
can
willing
find
to
its
do that.
way into letters to the
Yep.
editor and various
Yep.
forms.
Yep. It should be consistent, I think, the message that we are sending out
Yeah.
to, so. Thank you. Are you offering to do that?
I will get it. I will get it rolling.
Thank you.
I will get it rolling, but as
Don't
always,
talk,
we'll
see
meet-
what happens.
Yeah.
Mary?
He'll do it.
It comes to mind, several years ago, we did have a independent reporter here at our meetings. Maybe Barbara remembers Mabel. She used to live on the corner there on Russell
Bergman.
Street.
Oh, yeah.
Bergman.
She would take the notes of the meeting, and that would be in the Independent, and that was free publicity, remember?
But now it goes on
They-
TV.
They were.
Oh,
they
that's
were-
right, but who's watching? This
But-
way they read the paper, you hope.
Wait a minute. We know who's watching.
I know, I watch.
But anyway, no, it's totally different now. It's,
Yes.
they aren't that willing sometimes to send these people, so, that's the hard thing.
You have to
It's a
be
good idea, but we have to practically
not
write it up
biased,
and see
yeah.
that it gets
There was an
there.
independent reporter at the parade Saturday, I will say that. She was around.
Yeah, well, that's good, but at a meeting, it's
It's
like
different. I
Yeah.
know.
stickier.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we can move on to the needs assessment, and we need to just have an update on that, and it's very exciting. Personally, Pamela has done a remarkable amount of work, I think, in this regard since our last meeting, and she can catch us up to date and share with us a little. But I'm very excited about this and the potential.
Well, just to back up a little bit, so the Needs Assessment Subcommittee did a lot of work last fall and winter, including having Dr. Mutchler come from the Geriatric Studies Center at UMass and talk to the subcommittee and essentially lay out how we could do a needs assessment in town. This is the group that has done it in several other towns. They've got even more experience now with going into a town setting and getting some real substantive answers about what the needs are currently and then what people see going forward, both the seniors themselves, the people who are what you might call pre-seniors, and then other people in the community who are in a position to see the needs of seniors, like the fire chief, who sees our seniors all the time. So the subcommittee did all of that preliminary work, and if I can quote Bob Stetson, he said, yeah, well, we don't have any money.
Yeah, I think I said that.
Yeah. So everything kind of stalled out. Now the selectmen have come forward and said that they want to work on our programming and to help us. And to quote Keith, we couldn't have a better opportunity than to ask them to fund a venture like this. Truthfully, when I saw that this was their goal, to improve the programming, I immediately started thinking about programming, and then I thought, I don't want to just come to them and say, give us some money to do this or give us some money to do that. I really want to say to them, this is the need that is in our town, and have it be backed up by facts and figures and methodology. So with that in mind, I went back to Dr. Mutchler, asked her to put together a proposal. We have not had a chance for the subcommittee to meet to go over any of this, but I received a preliminary proposal from her just supporting that original proposal that was placed on the table I think it was in February, wasn't it, Bob? Yeah. In which they offered for, similar to what they had done with other towns, for about $35,000 to do the entire package of the needs assessment, plan it out, put together the focus groups, actually do the survey, then analyze the data, and come back to us with a set of good data and a final report that talks about what the needs are for seniors. Chris kind of alluded to this when he was saying that, projections are that the number of seniors in Littleton is going to continue to rise at a faster rate than it's rising in the state as a whole. Massachusetts is an aging state, but Littleton, for whatever reasons, is growing faster in terms of its senior population. So Keith has asked that we bring to the selectmen's meeting tonight the proposal that if they want to help us to figure out what needs to be done. And then the second piece of this, which would happen, it probably will take at least 9 months to pull off doing the assessment, would be coming back to the selectmen with their recommendations and a price tag attached to, if you want to attack hunger in town, these are some of the things you can do, and this is what it will cost. If you want to attack property tax relief in town, here's what it's going to cost. And then at that point, they would presumably buy into something. Mary, you mentioned the idea that Alex McCurdy had come to us 2 years ago.
He did, yes.
This is not going to be something that's going to be solved in a week. This is going to be a long-term
Right.
solution, and this puts us certainly well down that road.
So, to some of you, I think the proposal is very comprehensive that they came back with, I thought.
Well, it's the same thing that they showed us back in February.
So,
But,
just
yes.
by way of background, I would love to get, there was reference made to a slide presentation by the Gerontology Institute at UMass to the state conference last year. Can we get a copy of that?
We have it.
You have it? And the tax proposal referenced, I guess it would have been so 2012-ish, by the selectman or Selectman McCurdy. I'd love, does that exist in writing someplace that we could see and study?
Pass that over to them.
I
Does
think
anybody know?
his was just verbalizing and expecting us to pick up the ball and run with it. I don't think it was anything in force. It was just a brainstorm. And he was running for office.
Okay.
Didn't he
Well, I
bring
thi- I
forward the
think,
proposal to
that's-
increase the tax work-off program? From 50,000 to 55,000?
Yeah, he did.
I would say that what he was saying was that he was deeply concerned for what's happening with the seniors in the community and was looking for ways to solve it. It was not I don't think it was a political issue. I think it was a concern on his part, stating that that was the case, and obviously his push to the 5,000 was, the extra 5,000 was a part of that, and they were looking for ways. So I think we've got a serious concern on the part of the selectmen at this point to solve some problems which they know are there. And
And I would expect that with one exception, everyone in this room would be receiving a survey.
With one exception.
Getting a note passed to me in class. But
I find
we're not gonna
that, so
get beat up after this one.
and this is going to be presented tonight too, correct?
Right.
So,
Again, strike while the,
the iron's hot, right,
Iron's
so
hot.
to
just
speak.
to give you a little background, basically, what the plan of the thing is, we won't get into it in detail because it's too much to do at this meeting. But every senior in town would receive a written, 8-page, 4-page?
Eight
Eight
pages.
pages, yeah.
Questionnaire, which we will develop. And it will also be done online so that they can answer it online and send it back. And they're good at doing this and getting responses. Their response effort is tremendously higher than what it would be done if we just tried to do it on our own with volunteers. One of the things I have been fighting on Needs Assessment Committee is doing a little thing of our own, because it just never worked. We never got answers, we never got anything that we could deal with or handle. This is, to me, the proper way to do it, and so I'm
When do
excited
the
about it.
focus groups occur in the process? Have they at all occurred in terms of forums with the public on, there are some priorities mentioned, which are based on your good work last year, which are, I imagine are accurate, but have we tested it with a broader group of the public yet?
No, we have not done anything, and that will all be a part of the study.
right.
Will be to put together what needs to be asked, and what we don't want to be asked, and what we don't want to deal with, and what we do want to deal with, so that we're dealing with the things we want to. It does not, those were just suggested things that she put into that proposal.
It's a
We're
focus-
talking as a needs committee. Needs assessment committee.
Focus group occurs before survey gets
Right.
distributed?
Yes, oh, yes, yeah, there will be all kinds of.
As do key informant interviews,
Okay.
which is going to specific people in town who need to deal with the seniors and can help to give us
Yeah.
accurate information back about what they see the needs are.
The needs committee will meet prior to any of this happening to make sure that we have the things in the proper order, so we're looking.
Well, that brings up the issue, the Needs Committee would have to become very functional and active, and find a time to meet
Right.
fairly consistently, I think,
Well,
during this
the
process.
Proposal tonight is a general package to say to the selectmen, this is a qualified gerontology group from UMass Boston who has offered to do this, and this is the cost that it will do. We want you to support this, because then we can put it together and get the information that we need to get in order to do something with it. And,
Rather than flying by the seat of our pants, at least having
Right.
good concrete information as to how, and what the real needs are, and how to prioritize those needs as we
Yeah.
identify them. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, it feels to me like that is the key. So there are some thoughts here, and putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but where some priorities were noted. So social, emotional well-being, caregiving, financial security, and transportation. There was reference to, of course, tax burden. I mean, it's highly likely those are the issues of concern, but the focus groups, and maybe we need more than two, or somehow we need to have enough people in the room.
Right.
If all we do is set out to confirm the early assumptions we made, we are not, accomplishing as much as we should. So it's almost putting down prior assumptions and letting a number of broad-based focus groups drive this before we go further, and then test those key stakeholder interviews against that. So I would, that's the only concern, that it be kind of blank slate, but that takes the input of the public in the focus groups occurring earlier. This referenced 2 of those. I don't know how many people can be included in each.
I agree. First, you gotta understand that you and I are the only two that have seen this proposal. The board doesn't know what we're talking about.
No.
And this is a proposal that we're making, which was given to us by the group. It has some things these are the kind of things that we might want to talk about. It will not necessarily be that, it will be whatever we come up with before the survey is taken.
And that list was developed because of the previous surveys that they had done in other towns. I think one of the interesting things that's on there is the caregiver piece. They started doing these surveys about 3 years ago, when the whole idea of the impact on the caregiver was not really on people's radar. And I would say that in the last 18 months or so, it has become very much on people's radar that caregiving for either a spouse or a parent is a tremendous burden on families, and is a real difficulty that people are facing in the state of Massachusetts. And so the items that they give there are the ones that they've determined from other towns are their issues, but that's not an exhaustive list by any means.
And a lot of it's the secrets in the question, the secrets in how much people have trust in the security of the answers, because
Right.
We want to hear about food insecurity issues. We want to hear about bullying. We want to hear about safety. We want this to be
Elder abuse.
expansive and for the public.
And you're only gonna get that with a professional kind of, asking the right questions and doing it in such a way that we guarantee, confidentiality and so, and that's all a part of this, what we're proposing.
so that's why it's so important we get the funding to be able to, I
Absolutely.
think, engage,
It's certainly this.
and then
group-
work with the group. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure that the Needs Committee will be very actively involved if we get that funded, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're automatically always thinking towards how are we gonna get it a yes tonight, right?
Right.
And, making sure that this rapidly growing, important segment of our community is safe and secure, and stable in town, matters to most of the things on the radar screen, in terms of through and through the budget. And so it's just been able to make that case. I wasn't aware that this was coming before the selectmen tonight. Unfortunately, I've got a commitment on the North Shore that it's doubtful I'm gonna get back here. I did not see this until, I didn't know
didn't come
until
into
years.
this
Oh, excuse me, but you did join this board, didn't you realize that everything else is put aside? It's okay, Chris, you don't mind.
Mondays at 1:30.
Yeah, the proposal just came in this
Right.
morning. When
Yeah.
I talked to Keith on Tuesday, and he really suggested that this is the time to ask the selectmen. It's gonna be very difficult, I think, for the selectmen to have just asked us to come to them and say how we can improve programming, and then to say no, and we say, well, here's what we think will help us to improve programming.
Yeah, I mean, a really significant survey, statistically significant, really, important findings from which to make decisions and prioritize.
And long range, I mean, this could be a
investments.
long-range thing, too. We might be finding things that actually, might be targeted for.
I wonder if we might enlist some of the folks here today to go tonight to support this.
Well, I
Oh,
was,
absolutely.
leading up to that, I'm waiting for my moment to encourage everyone to be there in support of this, because I think it's important that we do get there, including the members of the board, so who can be there.
Yeah.
So, I know I'm planning on attending to show my support, so. However, all right. More discussion on this. I think the critically important thing was that people realize that it is being presented tonight. It's exciting. I find it extremely exciting. And I'm excited about the possibility that we may be able to get the funding and move forward. And it sounds like, I think wasn't it BU? Is it BU or UMass? I don't know, whichever
UMass.
group. It's great. They have a pretty good track record, I think, now, so. Other questions, comments? Do we need more discussion on the needs assessment update? Okay, thank you all for your input on that. And the next item on the, under old business is a date for the emeritus induction. As you recall, we did vote to provide Mary Kay the emeritus status. Now, Barbara and I have done some work going through minutes of old meetings. Oh, we've gone way back to minutes and trapped around the townhouse to find them, but anyway, to be able to get information. I would welcome information from board members who have worked with her in the past, but we also need to move on this. And so I would like to suggest, and you may have other ideas, but I'm throwing this out, suggest that we form maybe a subcommittee, or not a committee,
No.
just a little group, a task force, to decide when we could hold this little ceremony, what the ceremony might consist of,
Did you want to talk about dates?
dates. I would like to, I would like each board member right now to think, what would be a good time? I would like to suggest that we get this done, by the end of October, the first part of November, middle of November, no later than that. I would love to be able to hear from you as to what day you think you need to be there. So what days would work best for you, the middle of the week, late afternoon, whatever, so that we could come up with a time. Yes.
I'm not sure what you're doing, because
I got it.
I don't think Mary Kay is going to ever be here.
She's not going to be here, I'm sure. But she does not have to be present.
For her to
Okay,
be,
so all we're
how
doing
do you
is
do it?
we have
To an
voted
absentee
her emeritus
person.
status.
Family.
What is the purpose of the induction if she is not capable of being there?
Well, we don't know that for a fact. Her family, pardon me?
I said, we sort of did know that for a fact that she won't be here.
No, Well, that's what we kind of have been assuming. We
I
have
think
not.
her family would be here.
Her family can be invited, they might not attend.
Yeah.
That does not mean that, and I think the board needs
Okay,
to
so then-
decide what we want to do.
Are you doing it at a board meeting?
No, my thought is no. When I think of Mary Kay, personally, I think of a silver tea service and china cups and tea and beautiful flowers all around her, so, yes.
I just want to mention that this is just a case to honor her.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean that she could, excuse me for saying this, she could be alive or she could be gone. But it's a way of honoring what she has done, that's all. So she doesn't have to be here. It would be nice if her family was here, but I doubt that, we cannot seem to get connected to them at all.
I know,
So
that's
if
why
they're
I'm
not,
concerned.
we're here for her.
I
And-
don't think we would do it if she was dead, because then she couldn't be emeritus.
Did we do it for Hathaway or anyone else before? What happened then?
You didn't have that
We
status.
didn't
We never
have-
did it?
We've
You
never
don't
had it.
have that status available.
We've
No,
never
it was
had it.
totally different, Mary.
It was?
It was totally different than with Mary Kay.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, she basically started the whole thing, so
I know.
it's a
And
whole
wouldn't we be
different.
doing this for ourselves as well, as a way for all of us
Say
to
goodbye.
recognize her and say goodbye and
It would be, it's
thank
not,
her? Yeah.
you know, it is a way of, thank you very much for putting that into words, because I agree with you. And I think that we just need to, perhaps, I know Barbara and I have started, you know, okay, what did Mary Kay do for the Council on Aging, if you go, and we know that. I was on the board with her when she started, the first board at that time. But we need to take it a little step further, and it might just be an hour event. We might, you know, somebody might decide to have a plaque made of emeritus members, with Mary Kay's name being the first one. But we need a little group task force to do this. Barbara and I are willing to serve on that. I would like to suggest,
It doesn't have to be a big, a
no,
big reception or anything. It could be just the board, the Friends Board, town
Keith,
people,
a
you
couple
know,
of
that,
town people.
I would suggest that you do it after your next board meeting, an afternoon tea.
There we go, this is a good idea.
Well, our board meetings often run till 4 o'clock.
I would suggest you get a committee and do it out in the committee and not take the time of the board.
Right, well, that's why I'm asking for a
Well,
little,
we'll
not a
talk-
committee, a formal committee, I don't think we need that. I think we just need a group. Barbara and I are willing to continue to work on it as membership board members, and, you know, just to.
At the risk of raising an indelicate subject, the next board meeting is very late. It will not be
Right.
until the 20th of October.
That's right, yeah.
And, well, actually, Bob raised the subject, you know, it's hard to make someone an emeritus who has passed.
Yeah.
I think time is of
But we
the
don't-
essence in planning this.
So, yeah,
No.
We know nothing.
Right.
So it's
Well, that's
like, it's just to say thank you in our own way, that's all, really.
I don't think there's any reason to
Whether
put it
she-
off. You guys voted to do it already.
I agree. So if there is a board member that could join, I would like, what I'm trying to get out here is to suggest that maybe a member of the Friends might work with Barbara and I and one additional board member. You offering? Oh, we have a volunteer. Jean Johnson has put her finger up there. So, to decide exactly what we want to do. And I do think time is of the essence, that we need to get it done.
Yeah, okay.
So,
And someone from the Friends. is
I
going to
did say
try.
that, it's someone from the
Yeah.
Friends. I
We
did.
we were whispering at the time, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. But that, you're okay with that, would you?
Well,
be
she
willing to-
belonged to the garden club too, didn't she, and other clubs?
She's not-
All the clubs could kick in?
Oh,
No,
let's
no,
not get
this
it.
is
No,
it.
no,
no. No,
This is,
okay.
she's an
Forget it.
emeritus
Forget
board
it.
member from the Council on Aging. That's what we're honoring.
Forget it.
And are we going to invite the public?
Well, if you did, then you'd be inviting Garden Club, Indian Hill, things that she belonged to. I don't see
Historical
the
Society.
public so much as the organizations that she helped or was on the board, because she was on those boards.
Yes.
So
So
that's
perhaps
the way
we
I see it.
extend invitations to those boards.
Yeah.
So we have a member of the Friends who will find out about Jean, and Barbara and myself will continue to work on that, and you'll be hearing about it. When, whatever it is that we're going to do, will be scheduled. best in the afternoon for all of you? I really would like to have the board present if possible. So we need a kind of what day of the week would be
Where
best.
would it be? Down in the meal site, or the multi-purpose room?
I'm not sure about that. It would
We don't know
be
yet.
somewhere in this building, probably.
Let's not do the whole thing
Right,
here. Let the
right.
members of the
We'll
board do it.
decide.
Just
Just
get a
decide
date.
on.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a date, because it would be nice if as many people as possible could attend.
Would you, yes. So can we do that much? Come up
How
with,
soon do you want it?
well, sometime in October, I think.
Early October.
So then just say October, who's, you
Well,
know,
Oktoberfest is what? The middle of
22nd.
October?
15th.
Oh, the 15th.
15th, so
That's right, wrong thing.
could be before that or just after.
Yeah.
Are Mondays good for you guys, since you usually meet on Monday?
13th is a holiday, the 20th is our board meeting, that leaves the 6th and the 27th for Mondays in October.
The 6th.
I'm sure it'll be planned by the 6th.
6th. Let's go for the 6th. So
Plan
can,
for the
does that
6th.
sound reasonable for people?
Monday the 6th,
Monday the 6th, we'll aim for that to try to get whatever done.
in the morning, afternoon, evening?
Okay.
I think an afternoon
Afternoon, okay.
tea.
I'd say like 2 to 4, just open,
Yeah, good.
open 2 to 4, something like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think that helps us move along on it and get, so we get this done. Thank you very much. Okay. So I think that's all business. Whew. Can we move on quickly to the new business? The flu clinic coming up.
New
November
business
14th,
is
October.
quick. Flu clinic has been scheduled for October the 14th. It will be held in the Board of Selectmen's room because it was so popular last year, we actually kind of burst the seams on 233. Neshoba Board of Health is holding this. We're advertising it in the October newsletter. It'll go out in the usual emails. It'll be advertised in the Independent, et cetera. And it is free in the sense that you bring your insurance card, if you have an insurance card, you bring your Medicare card, but if they can't bill either of those or you don't have insurance, they will still give you the flu shot, so.
Do you have the date and time for that? You mentioned the date, right? In one of the broadcasters that I reviewed, they had alphabetically 3 scenarios with a time from A to such and such, because there's backup, lines waiting, people get discouraged. This way, if they know that you're alphabetically between
No.
1 to 2, you're not going to do
Last
anything
year it
like
was-
that?
Last
The
year
other-
they did just
Westford
fine.
is, I think.
Well,
Last year-
Westford, how many people live in the town of Westford? Does anyone know the population of Westford? I believe it's 7 times larger than Littleton.
Okay.
Yeah.
We-
It was
Just
fine
trying to be
last year.
helpful,
Yeah.
because I was in it once and it was murder, waiting.
Well, you don't have to get your
I'm
flu
not
shot
going
for
to go
free.
again.
The flu shots will also be available on the 25th at the Wellness Fair.
Okay.
Okay. And which leads us up to the wellness fair, which is item 2 under new business.
Right, so the Wellness Fair, this is the 3rd annual Wellness Fair, October 25th from 10 to 2, and it's going to be held at the middle school. Last year, we were at the high school. They had a conflict, so we're going to be held at the middle school in the same location as the Senior Follies. I believe they call that the cafeteria.
Yes.
Right.
Obviously, there'll be more details on that at the meeting, but as I said, our next meeting is very late. It is October 20th. So we'll be 5 days out at that
All
point.
right. I think that covers new business. So, I think we're to the reports. And the Friends update, we have the Friends
Yeah, the-
meeting notes from July in
Their
your
last
packet.
approved minutes. yeah.
So if you have any questions or anything, would you like to speak to anything about that or catch us up to date about anything else? Well, you know what, summer's hard in your defense. It is hard because you don't, yeah, and we've had
Parade in the
We've had extra activities going on in the town, so. But
All right, what do we want to, what do we want to mention?
you've got a lot coming up too.
That we are having an Oktoberfest on the 15th for the seniors, and it'll be from 12 to 1:30, and it's $3 a person. And we had great food last year, and the same people are doing that great food this year. And we're not sure yet. We're thinking we'll do some karaoke. We're trying to push the karaoke machine that we have, and we're trying to push karaoke. It's kind of fun, and so come and be with us for that.
The ice cream social.
What's this?
Ice cream social.
Oh, yeah, the ice cream social is coming up too, and we were able to invite 50 seniors. It's going to be at Kimball's.
Have you filled
And,
that? Have you got all 50 in?
Almost.
I'm sorry?
Is it closed off now?
6 places.
I think there's 6 places left,
Okay.
right, Pamela?
3 places, I think it is.
$32.95 per person, what is?
No, you're
No,
not paying that.
No,
No.
You're
We're
not
not
paying,
paying that.
you're not paying anything, it's the,
No, I'm going for what's on here.
Yeah, well, this is
Further.
just,
Yeah,
that's for
error.
our,
Read
that's for
further.
our benefit.
Read further on.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
for our benefit. You don't have to worry about that. But it's gonna be in the tent with a variety of ice cream and sundae makings and a cold beverage. And, so we're hoping that everyone enjoys themselves that day.
It starts at 2.
Starts at 2 o'clock, and we can only take 50 people, and we did have people sign up quite early. So, I think that's.
and do they have to get a ticket?
Do they what?
A ticket?
No. not yet.
They didn't get tickets, so no.
Okay.
And it's the 15th, correct?
Yeah. So,
17th.
and I'm not gonna.
17th.
Sorry.
How do they know?
What date?
By name.
Unknowns?
We will have the list with us and we'll check you off.
Yes, it's the 17th of September.
Day of my physical.
I'm not gonna go on with the other activities because I mentioned them last time, and I'll mention the next one next time.
coming up, yeah.
Very kind of you to do this ice cream social at no cost.
It is.
We usually do it here, but we talked about it and thought it would be kind of fun to go to Kimball's. And they were happy to have us, so. And all we could afford was 50. This time. When we make more money, it'll be more, next time. So, but yeah, that's all I
Okay.
have.
Alrighty. Mart, office reports, budget monthly reports, in other words.
okay, you have both of them in your hand, the two 11 by 17s, and basically this is the expenditures as of August. Nothing spectacular in any of them, so. Any
Give us
questions?
time.
Would you let me know when you do get that $1,500, just so that
I won't know it.
you won't see it in the balance? You will?
It'll only,
That's it,
it'll be
yeah.
put into whatever fund we took.
Van
it.
fund.
It'll go into the van
Van
fund.
And I think it was the van fund.
It
So
was,
that
yeah.
the van fund will show an increase of its, it'll show a credit of $1,500.
Thank you.
And this is the, just so that you know, as of 6:30, this is 6:30, not as of August.
It's supposed to be as of August.
Yeah, okay, well, it wasn't.
What's that?
I don't think it's
We'll get
changed.
it, we'll get
I don't
it
think
to you
it's
next
changed
month, because this
from
is
6:30 'cause
7/1
we
to
haven't spent any
6:30, and it
money.
should be 7/1 to...
Chris?
We haven't spent any money,
Oh,
so
I'm
it's
sorry.
the same.
No, it's 6/30/15, so it doesn't make any difference. It's the current numbers.
Yeah, it
so-
goes July 7th, to 6/30/2015.
So it's-
Oh,
Without
2015.
reading the balance that was left over from last year, what happened? It goes,
On any of these funds, it doesn't change, it just debits and credits. If money is put in for things that come in, money is taken out for things that come out, and that's the only change in this. This is just an indication of what we have in accounts, and all the minuses are pluses. Just remember that. In other words, we have, the paper recycling fund has $852, for instance, the bicycle wellness has $6,087 in it. No, yes, because there's a grant that will, some of them really don't apply. We have $20,000 in the van, in the van account at this point, and that will be, the $1,500 will go back in there, it will become 21,700.
We
It's
will-
just basically for your information as to what's in the account. We don't attempt to explain it in detail. If there's a big change, we'll find out if you're interested.
There'll be no more recycling?
There is no more recycling.
No one else?
They do not paper recycle anymore, so Sky is left and it's all going to the dump.
Okay.
Thank you. We've just been, oh, Bob, here's some directors' reports.
Take one and pass it on, please, Bob.
The director's report is coming down to you, if you haven't received it.
So, August was a relatively quiet month. Transportation was as heavy as it has been for the entire year. You'll see that we had 397 rides.
Oh,
came down
okay,
this side.
okay.
We had 397 rides in August. We've been running pretty consistently between about 380 and 405. Almost every single day we have 2 vans out. Very, very busy. One of the things that was a big surprise this summer, though, was the attendance at the combined men's and ladies' breakfast. And we got wonderful feedback that they really enjoyed that. So they're going to do it again next summer. It works out well to do a combined breakfast for June, July, and August because of how difficult it is to get the volunteers in when everyone's on vacation and things. But they had 32 people at the August breakfast, which far exceeds what they normally would get with the men and the women, even when you combine them.
Why don't you just do it all the time?
Some of us won't go anymore if they keep letting the women in.
Oh, my gosh. Oh.
I didn't say that.
You're on camera.
Okay, let's move on. Yes? I'm sorry.
Regarding August, how many riders were turned away? Vinnie, you may have referenced it.
You know, I forgot to mention that it was less, I believe there were only 4 that were denied rides. Not 4 individuals, but 4 rides that were denied.
There were 12 in July.
12 in July, and it was down to 4 in August.
How did you accomplish that on the increased volume to 397?
Well, actually, it's down. July was 416 that were
I'm sorry,
accommodated.
I was looking year over year, but good point.
Yeah.
Down from July.
Yeah, but that was a
How
real
significant
rough month, and we were switching over, and there were people who were used to going to Boston and taking a van for a whole day and locking it up, and we stopped that in July 1st. So all of a sudden, we had to deal with people not being able to do what they thought they wanted to do. So that made that probably a little higher than it would have been.
Yeah, that's where the 12 came from in July. That's when we switched to, we now go to the Boston hospitals on the 1st and the 3rd Wednesday, and we go to Leahy Clinic, Woburn, places like that on the 2nd and the 4th.
The nice thing is, most people have been willing to accept that once they could make the arrangements, and we're thankful
And those
for
vans
that.
are going almost every time with more than one person, which I really like to
Which is
see.
good.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, people that are going on the van, do they have people accompanying them,
Depends on the
like
person.
caregivers?
Depends on the person.
Okay,
Why do you ask?
I was just interested.
Yeah, some people do, some people don't. Caregivers pay if they go.
And vets are free.
Vets are always free.
To be very honest, I had somebody tell me that they went, and I was wondering why they couldn't drive their parent instead of using the van.
Mhm.
Just curiosity.
The criteria for riding the van is you have to be a senior, or you have to be disabled. But we do not check for people's having driver's licenses, because what we find is that there are people who drive who won't drive into Boston,
Yeah,
for example,
okay.
or won't drive
My
in
wife won't
certain
drive
kinds of
anybody
weather.
anywhere but to the store.
And we also have the situation where we often take people for medical appointments where they have been told that they cannot drive. Cataracts,
Yeah.
colonoscopies,
Yep.
things like that.
So in this instance, the 4 ended up being probably rescheduled, we accommodated on a different day, or they were given the opportunity.
They were given the opportunity,
Yeah.
yeah, but they go down as a deny because they wanted
Yeah.
to go on a particular day, and we just weren't able to do that.
And now as far as the way the schedule and the efficiencies that you mentioned are working out, word's getting out about that, and so that's what we see, which is good.
Yeah, part of the reason we made that decision is nobody goes to the Boston hospitals urgently.
Right.
People are going to see specialists, they're going for follow-ups
Yeah.
to procedures and things. If you're going urgently, you go by ambulance to Emerson or to Neshoba. And we find that people are able to make the accommodation, and the doctors have certainly been accommodating.
The clinic is opening up here. They've already had ribbon cutting, and that covers many of the hospitals like Lowell and so forth. Mass General. It was in the Sun, I believe, a whole sheet. They listed the people.
Oh, in that building across in Westford? The one in Westford?
Mm-hmm.
I noticed they had opened for urgent care. They're open.
Right. They've had a big 2 sheets.
Well, going over there would be considered a local
You
ride.
don't have to go to Leahy, Burlington, you can go there and if they have their staff. I don't know how they're
Well,
working
yeah,
that.
it's a kind of.
Personnel.
We take plenty of people to Emerson, Westford, to regular Emerson, and to Neshoba, as well as to doctors' offices.
Emerson has in Westford an office too.
Yep.
Across.
Yeah, that was what I said, Emerson,
Yeah.
Westford,
Yeah.
that's the one.
Yeah, it's nice.
Much easier than going into Concord, Emerson.
Really. I'm continuing to meet with the Crosstown Connect people on a regular basis to talk about issues around dispatching. They have made some changes. They brought on a second full-time dispatcher who appears to actually have dispatch experience. The other part-time person that they had working, Brian, was a driver who was just pulled in off the road. They now have Dave Mazzoni, who is, he's got nice social skills, and he's been working out really well. So that's been helping to make dispatching go more smoothly. They also hired their own IT person specifically to work on the software and to work with the tablets. And Dennis has been working with that. He actually came out here and did a ride around with some of the drivers and got the opportunity to drive across the Rotary and to see what that's like for the morning run. We have somebody who's picked up at 7:45 every morning and goes to Emerson to pick up the ride into town, a blind person. And he got the chance to see what it's like to try to get through the Rotary. They really are making an effort. One of the other reasons that I think things were a little disorganized early in the summer, which they have recognized, is that's when they brought Maynard on board. And I think they were scampering a little bit to deal with the increased volume. But it feels pretty good.
How many towns are on board now?
Acton, Boxborough, us, and Maynard.
4. That's good.
And there remain 3 towns that are part of the consortium that have not yet come on board.
7.
Getting there.
7.
4 and 3, 7, yeah.
Okay. thank
Transportation
you.
is always the focus because transportation makes it all happen. It's because of transportation that people get to the grocery, they get to the doctor's office, they get here, whatever. By the way, one of the big users on Wednesdays and Thursdays is our Chit Chat Club, which has just broken even.
Wow,
Yeah.
Very good.
that's great.
Anyone who comes through on Wednesday or Thursday mornings here's the Chit Chat Club, and they're always laughing and they're always having a really good time. But what makes me feel especially good is to see the caregivers and to see the relief on their faces when they drop people off and when they talk to me about the program.
Great. All right, thank you, Pam. Tina?
Here's Tina's.
Oh, here we go.
I'm sorry these are late. We had, last week was a crazy week. We had to work on a float.
Yeah, set the priorities.
Get our
you know.
priorities straight.
Good thing, I'm going to the eye doctor.
Oh, I should
Tomorrow
also,
morning. I'm going tomorrow
Why do you
morning,
write
8
so
o'clock.
little?
well, I should also mention to you that we did do all the paperwork, and it was all submitted for the formula grant. No increase. We should get the same amount of money that we got last year. And we spent all of our formula grant money, which they always want us to do, some of which went towards drivers for transportation.
You're on.
Okay. Thank you, and I know you all noticed it's a little bit smaller because we're using the actual form that EOEA wants. And I'm working tomorrow to see if we can get it a little bit larger, but this is the exact form. And as Pamela was saying, the Chit Chat Club is doing quite well, and we've had 3 new people added to the program in August. And we had a couple of others try it out that may be coming back, but not yet at this time.
How many
So-
do you have?
Well, we have, let me just, I have, it's hard even for me, I need to get my eyes checked again. Okay, we now have 12. We had 9 last month.
Good.
And then in some of the duplicated numbers, that would be just the people that came to check it out but ended up not signing up because they want to wait. And they'll perhaps, you know, sign up at a later date. And
Are those 9 going both days?
it's a combination. You know, the majority go both days of the week, but there are some that due to other physical therapy, home health aid schedules, that sort of thing, they're just coming, you know, one of the days. But the contacts with them and their family is really starting to increase, and there's frequent emails sent back. I'm talking to the caregivers on a regular basis, as well as Sally, the program coordinator, who's sending out a weekly information type email of what will be going on and what activities they're doing. And they've had a very nice, successful field trip at Pamela's farm, and that was very well attended, and they all had a good time. And some of our one-time-a-week people came twice that week in order to participate both days.
How many do you have that are taking care of all these? Instructors, or what do you call them?
Well, Sally's the program coordinator, and most days she has 2 people, occasionally 3.
One coordinator?
1 coordinator and 2 to 3 volunteers, yeah.
Or senior tax
Or senior
workers.
tax workers. And on some days, we do need the 3 because there are some people that we do like to give the one-to-one attention to. So
Yeah.
it's really been a good program. And it's been busy. Now, the Smock Fuel Assistance Program has also been busy, and at this time, it's all the renewals. And, last year, 94 clients, 94 households were served. And I have the number here of $68,139.02 through SMOC. That does not include some of the other funds, the Salvation Army and the Cooper funds. That's just the SMOC funds for actual fuel assistance. And at the
And I think Bob can speak to what the paperwork burden is like to do 94 applications.
and that's, yeah.
Yes, it is. We work with Tina on the renewal forms and on the new people. And the new people, it's harder because they have to provide so many things and they have to prove all kinds of different things. But it's a very rewarding situation to know that we can get them some money. Some of the situations I just couldn't believe how people are living very, well, almost no budgets at all.
Right,
And
yeah.
Ellie and I have gone home and said, I don't know how they eat. They have to pay this rent and they have to do that. And it's great to have it happening.
And it's great to have you and Ellie, assisting, again, this year with some of the paperwork, because it does get overwhelming. And as we know, Loaves and Fishes is one of 3 food pantries that Littleton residents are eligible for. So, of course, many of them, there's been a lot of food stamp cutbacks. Many are even more dependent on the food pantries in the area. So that's been very helpful for Littleton residents to have, good resources in that department. Another thing we've been busy with is we've been doing outreach to all the people in the community 80 and over, and now we're looking at 70 and above to make sure that, to see if there's any unmet needs or any reasons, anything that they think they will need in the future. And, you know, we have a senior tax worker who's doing those phone calls for us, and I really have to give her credit because I think that amounted in locating the 3 new members that we have in the Chit Chat Club, because she spoke about that in her telephone interview. So, and we have a couple still thinking about it that haven't quite been able to make the decision yet. The Friendly Visitor Program is going very well, and occasionally, when people cannot have, they cannot get the rides, occasionally Pamela will ask me to find a friendly visitor to take someone on a doctor's appointment, and we've been somewhat successful with that, and we're working on, you know, trying to help more in the transportation area. And there's an anxiety group, we have a couple of new members there also, so that program continues to go well. So I think that's it for now, unless anyone has any questions.
I'd like to know what Pamela's been doing, I mean, what Tina's been doing with all these extra hours we gave her.
Oh, yeah.
Has that helped you at all?
Well, I feel like it's just so busy. Of course it's helped, yeah, of course it's helped.
It was a brief feeling, though.
Yeah, it seems to, yeah, it seems, Fridays are very busy, it seems, and, you know, that extra half hour at the end of the day is very busy too. But now we're getting into the time where I can be more flexible, and that will be, I'm starting to meet some families who work full-time during the day, and I'll meet them at night to do their fuel assistance applications. And, you know, that sort of thing. And also having the help from Bob and Ellie, you know, will be good too. And that's usually at a time when I'm out of my office and they can use my office and see the clients there.
So,
I have to mention that one person that I know that had a volunteer drive them to a doctor's appointment was so pleased.
Yes, that worked out very well.
Yeah.
So thank you, Louise.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
So I remember the numbers last year, that it was about 3 hours per family that would submit an application for the fuel oil program. Is it 3 hours per renewal as well, or is it 3 hours per new application? And just really starting to think of, I mean, it was 270 hours altogether. It was 8 weeks of your time in aggregate to deal with that, which is tremendous. So, I mean, the extra hours will help, of course, but, you know, are we doing everything we can to anticipate that influx, which is coming soon?
Yes, and then sometimes when I do a recertification, which some of them can be quite manageable at like 35 minutes, but then there are the ones that you see that you can't get all the information and you know they're going to ask for a tax return or that sort of thing. Those get to be more like sometimes 3 or 4 appointments before they're actually fully approved. And much of that has to do with unemployment, and a great deal of it has to do with if they see that what someone is bringing in for income doesn't equal what their bills are, you get automatically rejected and have to prove how you're living, you know, where you're living and how you're making your ends meet. And then you're getting into notarized letters from anyone who's ever helped them by giving them some financial assistance, and that can get quite, you know, complicated. We're fortunate to have 2 notaries right here in the building who very nicely can notarize it, but sometimes we're dealing with a relative on the West Coast, and we have to send the paperwork to them, have it notarized, have it sent back to us. So
you've got all these
things will
families
add
at
it.
some stage of approval or denial and review.
Right.
What else can we do to support the effort? I mean, clearly it's a mountain of work.
And that's
Gina has about 12 senior tax workers who help her, and she directs their activities. She has 2 senior tax workers who are exclusively working with SMOC applications, the fuel oil application. And then she has other senior tax workers that she has working with, I guess the way to put it, the special needs clients. I'm thinking about some of your friendly visitors who really take up the slack with people who are on the phone to you a lot.
And that's it.
So
Well,
do you feel it's enough?
Oh, yeah. Yes, right at the time, it's, you know, it's good, yeah. I'll let you know if it changes, okay, thank you. I'll let you.
And that's one of the things, Chris, you might want to know that that's one of the things that we've been pushing is how we can get volunteers, tax people, volunteers, to do some of the paperwork stuff, the kinds of things that don't deal with confidentiality. One of the problems is that much of it is confidentiality, and so
That's right.
Tina has to deal with it. And believe me, to just sit down and do the paperwork for SMARC, even on somebody renewing, is generally about an hour, because they have to bring it in, we have to make sure it's all according to what SMARC wants. Then it has to get to Tina, Tina has to send it to SMARC, SMARC has to approve it and go through the whole thing. If there's anything that they want to reject or they want to expand, they have to deal with that, so it really gets to be, and that's just the one program. And then when they have situations like one of them that we hit a while back, we try and find other answers. We try and find other ways that we can help them, because they're in such desperate straits. But the interesting thing is, sometimes we wanted to put one person in the tax program, but in the tax exempt program, but it would have affected their other one. They would have lost their
Their health insurance at that time.
So the health insurance, you know, so you get into those kind of things, and then it's constantly, it's horrendous at times.
It would be great to have a second outreach worker, but we were lucky to
One
get
step
10
at a
hours.
time, one step at a time. We get, at least we got full-time.
Maybe the needs assessment will show that we need another outreach.
I think it probably will.
Yeah, which would.
The whole
be another good
process
thing.
of getting any kind of assistance has become much more complicated in, what, the last 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What you have to prove.
You have anything else, Tina?
No, I think that's it. I mean, we're running into the time where a non-senior program comes up, but it doesn't affect the Council on Aging, and that would be the reduced fee transfer station program, where our fuel assistance clients are eligible and you know, to purchase a transfer station sticker for the senior citizen price. So that gets very busy, where they're all due in October, so they come at the end of September for that, and you have to prove that they're eligible. Okay, thanks.
Put that out on the radar screen too, maybe next year sometime, and 10 hours more of outreach coordinator for in the body, right? Thank you. Senior dinner, a diner. Senior diner, bingo, monthly report.
Senior dinner?
Well,
Yeah.
let's see, Gail is on vacation this week.
Yeah.
So we have,
Young man.
we have two people from Minuteman, you know, to take her place. And one, Mike, came last week, and he had been to all the sites to work, you know, and he came last week so Tina could train him what goes on here.
Yep.
And he was very impressed, very impressed. He says, I was by far the best he's been in.
Wow.
Wow.
He praised the kitchen and the diner and the dining room, and the interaction between the kitchen and the dining room, the people. He said some places have one volunteer and one woman, and there's no, they just hand out the meal and that's it. And I mean, he said ours is such a social place, and
It is a
we
very
have so much
social
fun.
place.
He really was very impressed, and he'll be back this week for 3 days, so.
What kind of work is he gonna do?
He takes them.
Gail's.
Gail's job, he's covering for
Oh,
Gail.
Oh.
But he goes from site to site to site,
Oh,
and he's a
okay.
man who owns 3 restaurants himself.
Really?
So he knows the food business, and he knows what goes on, so, yes,
Great.
he really was. And Gail was pleased because the numbers have gone up, and the money has gone up too.
Whoa.
You know, when we mentioned it here.
This is win-win. Some of this is chit-chat.
Huh?
Chit-chat
Yeah.
pushes Gail's
That's
numbers
true.
up, and it
That's
pushes
true.
Gail's money up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chit Chat Club,
So,
because they eat there.
it's,
Goes around,
They're
comes
here.
around.
Things have
Yep.
been good. Yeah.
Great.
And if you ever go down to the diner on Wednesday or Thursday and you see the Chit Chat Club having lunch, they're having a good time.
They do have a good
They
time.
are, they are,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they
Their
do.
own table, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's their own little club. They're-
Yeah, very-
But they're also very friendly, and they love to engage with other people if you're there, so.
Yeah.
All right, Mary, Senior Communications.
Good, and we don't have a foot out the door. Okay. Last week, I called the MBTA, the Boston office, for the new August the 4th commuter rail schedule. on the Fitchford line to be sent to the COA office to Tina's attention, because the hours for Littleton to get on have been changed. So that was my number one priority. The other is good news. Friends, Shirley seniors have formed a Friends of the Shirley COA. At their meeting, a group of 6 of them started it, and this is their mission statement. The Friends of the Shirley Seniors formed in 2014 to support the Shirley Council on Aging by raising funds to provide for the needs of the Shirley seniors. The Friends have formed a partnership with the Shirley Charitable Foundation, whose major focus is to enhance the lives of Shirley senior citizens. That brings another issue with me. I'm very pleased that a broadcaster we now have on there, instead of the historical building, we have the Council on Aging sign, which I've been bugging you for ages. Thank you, whoever got it. Thank you. But I have another issue, and that is we are a nonprofit organization, and all nonprofit groups have mission statements printed on their newsletters that I read. And Littleton, up to date, I haven't seen ours recently. We used to have them right on the top, but we should have our mission statement somewhere in the broadcaster. The Friends is a nonprofit group formed called the Friends of the Neshoba Nursing Service and Hospice in Lowell, and they go under NNSNH. That is very important because the nurses are fighting to be unionized in the different hospitals. They haven't been. And now they're forming Friends of the nursing, but this is Neshoba Nursing Service. That's different. Okay, and they have put in their mission statement. So I'll call it quits on that.
Mary, just for your information, we as the COA are not a nonprofit. We are a town organization. It is the Friends who are the nonprofit.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah. But we did have a mission statement on our COA.
If you look in the town report, you can see the mission
I
statement.
was gonna, we do have one.
Yeah, we do have a mission statement.
It's in the town report. It's in the town report.
Yeah, which is good.
I know, but I mean monthly would be nice.
You know why it's not in the broadcaster? You know why it's not in the broadcaster?
No.
We don't have enough room, because we have so much going on.
I
Nancy
know.
struggles every single month
Yeah.
to
Right.
find enough space. If you look at some of the newsletters from other towns, they'll have pages with things that just come from Emmett, like information about emergency preparedness or what to do in case of a hurricane or what have you. We don't have room for anything like that. Ours is jam-packed with programs that are happening and things that people can sign up for and be involved with.
I'm still getting complaints that Littleton COA isn't doing any trips, not even with other towns.
There are trips in every broadcaster.
Not this September one, there wasn't.
Because if you look, it says there are no trips offered because of all of the 300th activities.
Oh, that's true,
Yeah.
yeah. But we do very poorly on the trips.
I'm sorry to say that we offer trips every month, and it has been a long time since we've had anyone take advantage of any of those trips.
They're not, yes, utilized as they, I guess, once were.
I don't know what's changed, but people just don't sign up for trips anymore.
Finances.
I was gonna say, some of them are not cheap,
No.
so some of it may be cost.
The last 3 I looked at, and I can't remember the town, they were only $54, and they were very interesting. And they were transportation, meals.
Oh, yeah, we've offered some nice trips. I've looked at a couple of them, they just haven't come at a time when I could go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we just had, in August, we had the Great American Songbook trip, which was a singer and a dinner, transportation provided and everything, and we did not get a single sign up for that. I think that was the
Where was
clam
that
bake.
to?
It was called the Great American Songbook and Clam Bake. It was,
I was gonna say, that was a clam bake, that would,
yeah,
because that impressed me.
Oh,
that was,
well, I told them to call you, Pam. I don't take complaints.
No. We just give them.
well,
All right.
I get all the complaints and I'm happy to get them.
I have a motion to adjourn.
I moved to adjourn.
Good it does.
Second? Jean is seconding. Bob? Meeting is adjourned. Good to see you all.